You know what I love about Yu-Gi-Oh? The fact that there's so many different archetypes and deck types in the game. Now for some, this can be seen as a bad thing, and while I can see why that would be, I really do like that there's so much to choose from. There's literally something for everyone. However, not every deck is made equal, no matter how cool they might look. And today, I want to showcase to you guys some of the most mid decks that I've played recently on stream for the first time. What's goody with you all today? My name is RayGVT, and today I'm going to be recapping some of the low tier decks that I've been playing and having fun with in Master Duel, some less so, and taking you through my thoughts after having played some of these decks. I'm someone that loves trying new decks and archetypes anytime that I can. I don't care if they're high tier or low tier. These decks that I'm about to show you are definitely on the lower tier end just because of how basic they are. Now their concepts and end goals are definitely great, but their execution can be a bit... whoa. Let's just get into it so you can see what I mean. Two of these decks were actually suggested by some of you guys in my streams, and I decided to take on the challenge. Come by and check those streams out, by the way. I stream on YouTube a lot more frequently now than Twitch, and it's always great to have some input on these decks that I've never touched before. Now, before I get into all of this, I just want to put this disclaimer out that I like to play my decks pretty pure as much as I can. So that means that I keep everything in archetype as much as I can. I don't mix various engines to make the most optimal deck because first of all, these are very low tier decks, and while they can be improved by throwing in this engine and mixing in that archetype, part of the challenge and fun for me is just winning with the archetype as a whole as is. Secondly, this is all for fun. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but I still get comments to this day every time I play an archetype and someone will come at me with, "Why don't you add Bestials to this? You actually win. Why not add all of these cards to actually stand a chance?" No. Again, all for fun. I just want to press buttons and play my cards. There's always a time to be serious and a time to just have fun, and this is one of those times. So please understand. Anyways, let's get into this. So first up, we have Firefists. Quick fun fact, Firefist next to Code Talkers is actually one of the very first decks that I built when I was getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh all the way back in 2020. Yep, right next to what is now my favorite deck of all time, this is what I built right next to it. I thought they looked so cool by aesthetic, and they gave me a very like Dynasty Warriors vibe, which is one of my favorite game franchises of all time. Until I discovered that there's actually an archetype based on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms already in the game, so maybe I can look at that soon too. Firefists work by using their level 3 and 4 monsters to Xyz summon their rank 4 Xyz. Pretty straightforward, right? In combination with this, you use their fire formation spells and traps to be able to set up a back row and to swarm the field so that you can pull off the extra deck summons. As they receive support later in the game, they will also gain some fusion, synchro, and even some link monsters to really help them out. So pretty much, use their level 3s and 4 monsters, Xyz summon, set up a decent back row using cards like Fire Formation Tensu and Tenki, which are their main keys, as well as some other spells and traps to keep your field occupied and overwhelm your opponent. They also receive a boosted attack points for every beast warrior on your side of the field. This is all pretty simple, right? Now, in practice and as a deck, oh boy, this is not the deck that I thought it was. Uh-oh, they got those Kurikara sleeves. You know that they're sweating. It's alright, let's see what we're up against. You know what I need to do that I always tell myself that I never do? Oh my gosh, Resonators! I almost played this deck. Let's damage first. Uh-oh. Yes, I'm playing Firefists. Okay. Alright, cool. Main phase 2. Let's link it, yeah, let's link off. Link it up. Link it off. Alright, bam. Eagle. Alright. I'm trying to play as seriously as I can. Alright. My opponent's reaction just... Is this guy seriously playing Firefists? No way! Character themed sets from the anime and such, you know? Flip, man. Can I get a Firefist monster? Just one! Please, I beg of you. I beg of you. And I got nothing in my deck that activates Engrave. Return that to the hand, because that will come in handy. Anything, anybody here have any graveyard effects? Nobody? Even the Tri-Brigade monsters, but I can't target them. Oh my gosh. You can set one Firefist, blah blah blah. You can send spell traps, blah, blah, blah. Nobody has a grave effect. What about this guy? Yeah, this guy has a grave effect. Why didn't I use this earlier? Let's just finish the game right here. Let's see if we can finish it here. Effect of Eagle activates. We can win here. I can't believe we just beat Red Dragon Archfiend with more flipping Firefists. It's supposed to be the other way around. Now or never. Now or never. If you got anything to activate, activate it now. It's now or never. Come on, come on. Wow, he really waited to the last second. Ritual Fusion, Synchro, or Exceeds. D-Barrier. No way he activated D-Barrier. For the rest of this turn, now the player can special summon monsters of the declared type. What's this gonna do? What's this gonna do? It's game over. I mean, do what you can, I guess, but yeah. Anyway, so what did I think of my experience while playing this deck? Well, I thought the deck in concept was great, but I just feel like the deck is too slow. Even for a swarm deck. Even when I was able to get both Tensu and Tenki on the field to get out as many monsters as I could in a turn, I always found my end board to be extra lacking. I was usually just finishing on Tiger and Lion Emperor and whatever other monster happened to be in my hand, as well as Tensu, Tenki, and some other fire formation card out so I could try to make use of it somehow next turn if I didn't get blown up. I did put in a couple of Tri-Brigade monsters in there just for the Beast Warrior support too, and it was okay. I also did try to throw in some generic stuff in there like Appaloosa, and this deck does have access to cards like F-Zero Utopic Future and Draco Future, and I was able to throw in Borosaur Dragon too. But then what ended up happening a lot was I would just summon Borosaur Dragon or F-Zero and win. I wasn't really using any of the in-archetype bosses to achieve victory, and to me, I like using my boss monsters to win. I guess I shouldn't be complaining about winning with a deck like this in the first place, but this is a deck that needs a lot of help. Now, what is it that I think that this deck needs to get better? Well, personally, I think this deck really needs a card or cards that mention something like, if you control a Firefist monster other than X card, you can special summon this card from your hand. Kind of like what Black Wings and a lot of other Swarm decks already have, because I don't think they have a card like that. Well, reading through all of the Firefist cards, I don't think there's a single card that actually has anything like that, so having a card with that type of effect would be really, really helpful. I just feel like this deck is too slow, even with the various support that it received over time. When this deck gets going though, it really starts to show some heat, and I love it whenever I am able to flood the board with a bunch of Firefist monsters and then just have all my extra deck junk out on the field. The spell cards are great for what they do in concept, and their in-archetype cards like Firefist, Eagle, and Peacock that were added later on really do help them out a little to achieve what they were going for. I think the overall theme of this archetype is pretty cool, and I like this deck. It just wasn't exactly what I thought it'd be, and that's fine. Not every deck is going to meet your expectations or blow you away. I guess this is just a deck that I wanted to be good so bad, even if it is a low tier deck, but it's just not quite there yet. Oh well, let's move on. And coming in next, we have Lunalights, another deck that I've had on the list for some time now that I finally got around to playing. Now, I started playing and learning this deck back in the Monster Type Festival that happened a while back, and I really like this deck. Like, a lot. I had a lot of fun with this deck. It's just the good old-fashioned fusion beatdown deck, but what makes it fun is that it can make multiple attacks during the battle phase, and this can lead to some pretty funny interactions depending on what you're going up against. Cards like Lunalight Crimson Fox and Lunalight Blue Cat can really help you too by doubling the attack of your monster or by reducing an opponent's monster to 0. It's so funny, honestly. I can't tell you why though. I think it's the fact that I'm playing a deck which is just cat girls going up against stuff like a bunch of really cool warriors and dragons, and you're just steamrolling all of them with effects like this. They also have some nice spell cards and have some really good graveyard recovery too. Cards like Lunalight White Rabbit and Lunalight Perfume help with this a lot. And their extra deck too is Wow, they have some really powerful fusion monsters, and some of them continue to get even more powerful when they battle. My favorite was Lunalight Panther Dancer, a card that, though it can't destroy your opponent's monster the first time, can attack every monster your opponent controls twice each. And if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it gains an additional 200 attack until the end of the battle phase. So I would have some pretty funny moments during the battle phase where my Panther Dancer would just become a massive tower and just steamroll my opponents.
You don't understand why is you doing this, bro? I've been doing shit all day, bro, and you learn you no matter what, bro. I don't.
Saber Dancer is also another really cool boss that can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects, and after it's sent to the grave, you can banish it and then target one fusion monster that you control, and then it gains 3,000 additional attack. Again, this made for some pretty interesting and funny interactions during battle. Again, I really like this deck. I had a lot of fun playing it. The gimmick of the deck is pretty cool with how the fusion boss monsters can attack multiple times while reaching some pretty high numbers, and because it's another Beast Warrior deck, you are able to throw in some other stuff to support it, like Firefist monsters. Seriously though, the Firefist bosses work better in this deck to support than in their own deck. I play the deck 100% pure though in the main deck, and I think cards like the two Pendulum support cards that they have with both Wolf and Tiger are such good support. One lets you just fusion summon with whatever you have on the field or in grave, and the other just lets you special back a Lunalight monster from your grave. It's just a good, fun fusion beatdown deck, and I love it. I've played a lot of Synchro, Link, and Xyz-centric decks, but I don't play a lot of fusion heavy decks, so I really like this one. It's simple, it's fun, and it was my deck of choice for the Monster Type Festival and pretty much carried me through it because everyone was just playing Fire Kings and whatever else. I feel like people weren't expecting it a lot of the times, and that's always a good thing for me because I was able to just grind gems with almost no problem. I did run into some pretty ridiculous decks while playing this event though. I'm about to get kaiju'd, aren't I? I'm about to get kaiju'd. Hard. What is this? We got Weave Out Underwood over here. Dark Xyz? Oh, I think I know what's coming. I think I know what's coming. There's that Xyz spider monster. I can't remember what it's called. Isn't that a machine though? I don't know. I think that's an insect. I can't remember. Increase the levels of all baby. Yeah. It's the Dark Xyz bug thingy that I used to run in the Earth Machine deck. Yeah, that's the one. Ravenous Tarantula, and then you can rank up on top of this and go into something else. Pain Gainer, okay. There should be another one as well. Destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls. Rest in peace. Activate this. Welcome back, Cat Dancer. They couldn't get rid of you quite easily. How do I summon Leo Dancer? Because I really want. I just got kite. The moment I change into defense position, it's over. But I guess it's over for me. Rip. Even if this was somebody in attack position, they would have been okay. They would have been okay if this was an attack as well. Oh boy. No OTK. They couldn't quite finish the job. Alright, this is our last chance. This is our last chance to make anything happen. Oh my gosh, Maxie, you came too late. I don't think I'll activate that just yet. But you can't kill the Cat Dancer. Trust. You can't kill Cat Dancer. She's here to stay. I get burned. No, that strategy relies on me not being able to bounce back. I'm assuming. I didn't quite read their cards, but that was like an instant scoop. Cat Dancer's here to stay. Cat Dancer was here to stay, but they didn't want to stay with. So I'll take the dub. A win's a win. I'll take it. It's good at what it does, but being a deck that relies heavily on special summoning, it does fall apart to cards and strategies that prevent special summoning from happening. Overall, a really great deck that I had a lot of fun with. Out of all the decks that I'm showcasing so far in this video, this is the one that I've enjoyed playing the most so far, surprisingly. I really thought that would go to the next deck on the list too. And speaking of, let's move on to the last. And lastly, the deck that I was looking forward to playing the most ever since I first saw it on the list of suggestions, Sharks. Or Water Xyz. Or Barrier, whatever you want to call it. This deck is the one that I was most excited for. This is the only one deck I chose to play myself so far, and after doing so, I got a lot to say. So I picked this deck up because I want to learn how the deck works in general, because it's actually received support in the most recent set with Age of Overlord. Playing it as is though, I had some real ups and downs. Similar to the decks from before, this deck can flood the board with a bunch of smaller shark monsters, and then using all of them, you can Xyz summon into some really powerful Number and Water Xyz cards. And these Xyz monsters have such good effects for almost every situation. Whenever I was able to get a bunch of them on the field, I was cheering, but when I wasn't, I was drowning in the waters. I think my biggest challenge was that I didn't know what to summon and when to summon it. I usually just went for the Xyz monster with the biggest attack numbers, but then would soon find out that this other Xyz monster would have helped me way more if I went into that first. So it was figuring out who to summon and when, depending on the situation. My other challenge with this deck, I think, is just how I constructed the deck in the first place. I think I put in way too many spells and traps that I really didn't need to have multiple copies of, and I didn't have enough of the actual shark monsters sometimes. I found myself just drawing into spells and traps half the time, but that's my L for deck building like that. I would tweak the deck as I went, but I just couldn't find that balance, at least not yet anyway. What the deck does really well though is in how the boss monsters use their Xyz material. You can detach and use Xyz materials for a lot of things, obviously. Cards like Hope Woven Spider Shark let you reduce your opponent's attack. Ragnar Zero lets you destroy your opponent's monsters if their attack is different from the original attack, which was really helpful. And cards like Nash Knight and Silent Honor Arc can just straight up steal your opponent's monsters and attach it to themselves as material, and then you can just rank up on top of them. Material. And then I'll attach, give me that. Give me all of that. Give me all of that. Despite my mixed emotions while playing this deck, I really like it. I like what it does, and I like the whole concept of armor Xyz to attach other Xyz monsters to power up. I'm actually building this deck once Age of Overlord hits us, and though it's not a deck that will be making a big splash in the meta, it's just a really fun deck to play. And I had a lot of fun while playing this on stream. It's definitely a deck I'm gonna keep around because I enjoy it a lot. I just need to fix the ratios a bit and I'll be good to go. If you guys would like a deeper dive into this deck, I will be doing a deck profile for it at some point soon. I'm just still testing it and stuff in matches and tweaking the deck ratios and stuff, but I'm enjoying my time with it a lot. I love this deck. Definitely gonna go swimming with the sharks again soon. So yeah, that was my experience with playing some pretty low tier decks in Master Duel. It's always fun to step away from these bigger, higher meta decks that are running around in the game like YUGIOH and Tear and Branded and all of that, and just loosen up a little bit and have fun. I'm not saying that you can't get that with those meta decks, but you know what I mean. It's fun to just pick a lesser played archetype and just go for it blind and see how it goes. That's how a lot of my streams have always been. And speaking of, if you ever want to catch me dueling live, tune into my streams. I now stream right here on YouTube and have been doing so for about a month now, and it's been great. I really like it here, and I just feel like my channel has been growing a bit better ever since. I still take deck suggestions and requests, and that's where my whole Archetype Arsenal series came from. All these archetypes that I looked at and played for the first time and just documented my experiences as I went. This video being for much lower tier decks, I wanted to kind of put these three archetypes in one video because I'm not sure if they'll get their own video each, but I definitely wanted to put a spotlight on them. Now, of course, just with almost any deck in this game, you can raise the power of all of these decks that I mentioned to full power using other useful cards and engines outside their archetype if you're looking to get a little more serious with them. Maybe one day I'll come back and do just that. I already know I'm gonna go swimming with the sharks again for sure, so definitely something to do for the future. Anyways guys, thanks so much for tuning in as always. What are some decks that you suggest I play for future streams? Drop them below because I'd like to know and am very keen to learn some more new decks. But thanks again for coming through guys, hope to catch you guys in my streams and I'll see you guys in the Duel Arena.